to the Electric Ireland Player of the Week. It's time for us to tell you who last week's Player of the Week was after the All-Ireland Hurling final. And it was a fairly straightforward one here. Sean McDonough was absolutely sensational in the All-Ireland final. Was it 2-8 that he scored in the All-Ireland final? And so play centre forward for Moyloch Montbellew, and he was our Electric Ireland Player of the Week from the hurling final. Let's move on to the Jubilee Minor 15. Our Electric Ireland Minor Jubilee 15 are the best hurlers in the last 25 years. Time for us to reveal the half-forward line, which was voted for by you, the hurling public. Cian Lynch at 12, Richie Hogan at 11, and Shane Long at 10.
Never heard of him.
I didn't really want to have a very good senior career, did he, Shane Long?
That's quite the half-forward line.
Yeah, I mean...
Like, every line you're looking at is saying, oh my God, it's unbelievable.
It's got pace, it's got guile. Cian Lynch has both of those. It's got, like...
There was a lot of hurls dropped last Sunday afternoon in Croke Park. If that is a growing trend, probably because of the rain. In a wet day, hurley's getting dropped. Notice how I said hurl and hurley there, because I want to keep people happy. Shane Long is your man.
Yeah.
He would be fantastic in the Fennelly role with a few tip lads hanging off him.
Yeah, I wonder what position he would have ended up. Or do you put him in the half-forward line and his pace just kills you?
Yeah, or...
And he can get on ball around midfield.
He's definitely in one of the either a half-forward or a half-back, for sure.
Could Shane Long come back now, give up football now, today, and make the senior tip team next year?
Yes.
Like,
not the senior. No, he'd make the...
No, it has to be the senior team.
He'd be a very good club player.
No. Could he play inter-county now?
I think after missing that amount of hurling...
Yeah, but he's a full-time professional athlete, like, who we know how fast he is.
He's got the conditioning and all that, absolutely. But, like, I mean, how many AFL players come back other than Ty Connelly and actually kind of get back into the rhythm of it quickly? And then you change that into hurling, which is a far more skill-based sport. And, like, his touch won't be as good. Give him a season playing at the top level in Tipperary club hurling. And then
2 years, you're saying 18 months.
Give him 18 months, maybe. Just get the skill back, because he obviously has the athleticism.
Give up the football there, and let's have a reality TV show where Shane Long comes back and plays. I mean, obviously, he still is very highly regarded by the Irish sporting public. Named at right half forward. A dual star at minor, apparently. I didn't realise it was a dual star.
Neither did I. It's funny how obviously it's just far more success with Tipperary, obviously, on a hurling sense.
Let's move on to the full forward line, because this is, I mean, what I was saying earlier on, the full back line was absolutely sensational. The half back line was great. Midfield was really tough. That half forward line is dynamic. So the midfielders are Noel McGrath and Ger Farher. The half back line is Joseph Cooney, Austin Gleeson and Sean O'Halpine. And there were people saying Austin Gleeson shouldn't have been in that team. Paddy Marr, Ronan Marr and Tommy Walsh was the full back line. Don't look, he's like, this is going to be a great team. We still have the full forward line to go and get this, right? Let's put up some of the nominees for this. So our contenders are Joe Canning, Owen Kelly, James Cha Fitzpatrick, who scored 2-3 in the O2 final, Kieran Fraggy Murphy, who scored 3-6 in an All-Ireland semi-final before going on to win in the final in 2001. Joe Dean, who won in 95. Damien Hayes, who won in 99. Satanta O'Halpine, who won in 2001. Pa Burke, who won in 2006. Richie Cummins from Galway, 2009. Pace and an eye for goal that made him lethal. Shane Maloney from Galway, All-Ireland winner in 2009 and 2011. Star man in the final in 2011. Got into the starting team at the age of 16 when it was still under 18. Richie Hogan, who's already in the team. Can we put him in two places? We probably won't. Bubbles O'Dwyer, who was one of the stars of 2009, racking up huge scores in each game. Adrian Mullen, a Leinster winner in 2017, who, if he hadn't been sick, would probably have been getting a lot of highlights this week. Jack Canning, who scored 2-2 in the 2017 final. I think we have...
where's Richie Hogan in the team?
Left half forward.
No, Richie Power. Or is there...
maybe this is Richie Power supposed to be here, is it? Yeah, we'll check that, because obviously Richie Power is a sensational underage player. So I think we've got Jamesie O'Connor with us on the line. Jamesy, good morning to you.
Sure, good morning, everyone. How are you doing?
This is a very difficult thing to pick between that level of talent over the last 25 years, but we're recommending things to the public. We rang around and we're asking people about Joe Canning as a minor, and the phrase that kept coming back was he looked like a senior amongst the minors. He was so good. He was head and shoulders physically and metaphorically above everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he was the great white hope long before he became, I suppose, the go-to man at senior level. I mean, my father is a Galway man, and the uncle lives down the road, and it was Joe this and Joe that. When this guy was probably 16, 17 years of age. So, yeah, I mean, listen, like he played minor for 3 years. I think he was the first guy since it was John Doyle to the chance of winning 3 successive All-Ireland minor titles. And like Joe, it's hard to make the the county minor team. Like when you're in your final year, you're exceptional if you do it kind of as an under 17 when the age is under 18. But like when you're there as an under 16, physically obviously you've got the attributes, but also you've got to be extremely good. And this guy was extraordinarily good. And to look as comfortable as he did at minor level, as an under 16 player, like was phenomenal. I think he put 2 line balls over the Barney All-Ireland final replay or something. This guy just had it all.
Owen Kelly, I'm pretty sure Owen went back to St. Kieran's for a year as well. So obviously everybody in the locality knew, and I'm not sure that I'm sure Kieran's were making the phone call to him, but he was actually in the minor team as a goalkeeper as a 15-year-old as well. So I don't think they were actually. So obviously he wasn't in the chance of doing the 3 in a row as an individual, but certainly they all knew about his talent that young. They just wanted to get him in the setup and put him in goals.
Yeah, and again, sure, listen, he's hands to die for. He went over the board to Kilkenny because Flannan's and Kieran's were kind of very strong around that time and kind of clashed in a couple of All-Ireland finals, and this guy won All-Ireland colleges, I think, against us. And again, listen, Jerry, he was just one of these guys that you knew from a long way out that this guy is going to be a star at senior level. And again, like Joe, to 3 years at minor, initially brought in, I think, as a goalkeeper. Then they realised, look, this guy's too good, and I think he ended up maybe in the full forward line. Beat Clare in the Munster final, I think, in '97, and Clare came back to the back door and actually won the All-Ireland. But listen, he was class, and as far as I know, I think he played under 21 or came on the under 21 team as a minor, which again indicates how good he was and how physically strong he was. Again, to be able to play under 21 as a minor, you've got to be exceptionally good, and like Canning, he just ticks that box.
I was watching a bit of All-Ireland goal last night. It was the Wexford Offaly the Wexford Offaly Leinster final from '96, and it's fair to say that forwards in this era were not given any protection by referees. I'll leave it there, but everybody can imagine the wild swiping that was being done by everybody in the forward. So for that generation of forwards, for your generation of forwards to come through and survive, you all needed physical strength, and you needed to be able to look after yourselves.
You did, yeah, and like one of the biggest regrets of my career is 2001, because we had a poor year the previous year. We had an early summer. Tip dumped us out in the first round, and we put in a massive effort over that winter. And Tip beat us in the league final, but there was we met them in the first round of the championship in 2001, a massive game down in Porky Keys, and Kelly was playing corner forward, and early in that game, he caught a ball, and Baker, who was in his prime at the time, hit him this ferocious shoulder, and he just, again, I think he knocked him. He bounced up off the ground and flipped the pass to somebody, and everyone knew then that this guy just was going to survive. And even back then, we knew about him. We knew the potential that he had. And as you said, Jerry, yeah, that was a different era, and there was a little bit more let go than there is today. But yeah, for guys to survive in that era, and he, as I said, to come into that environment, with the 2 low ones in the full back line, he was probably marking, I think, Frank that day. And he was exceptional, and probably the difference in getting them over the line in 2001. Yeah,
it's the Clare version of Hell's Kitchen. Speaking of corner forwards, Cha Fitzpatrick was a corner forward in minor level. In 2002, he scored 2-3 in the final there. And it's funny that he started his life as a corner forward. You can see under a different management team that Cha Fitzpatrick would have been one of the kind of longest tenured third midfielders, or kind of a sweeper in between the half back line, a quarterback really between the half back line and the midfield. Like his career as a high scoring corner forward suggested as well that he had the perfect eye for the modern game. It's just a pity the way his career ended up working out.
Yeah, listen, extraordinarily skillful, and as you said, pedigree, colleges, Ballyhale, obviously, and into St. Kieran's or whatever. And again, Cha has won it all. But yeah, I mean, Gerard, look, he just had that ability to hurl anywhere in the field. And I think in 2010, Brendan Maher, I think Martin, and Brendan Maher was just just so full of energy. And I think maybe Cody looked at Chad that day maybe in a different light, and maybe in Cody's eyes, in terms of the way the game was going, in terms of mobility and athleticism, and Chad was just a different type of player, as you said, like just the hands and the skill level, just the vision to pick out that pass. A lot I suppose the attributes that Noah McGrath brought to the middle of the field this year, and certainly his inter-county career. There was probably a lot more in Cha in lots of people's eyes that maybe didn't end up happening. But he was a cerebral talent, and listen, a class player in an era where there was a lot of guys, Richie Power and those kind of guys around.
Yeah, to talk about Richie Power briefly, I was saying yesterday in the show, I saw him at the All-Ireland final, and he looked like he could still do a job for that Kilkenny team, and geez, they were crying out for somebody like him in the team. Again, slightly underrated because he played with so many great players, but a two-time All-Ireland winner as a minor in his day. I think maybe two-time Leinster winner. I'm not sure they won back-to-back All-Irelands, but certainly a superstar and very highly touted minor as well.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I mean, no question about it. I mean, but I mean, Gerard, like you look back, like, I mean, and particular counties. I mean, Galway, for example, have always produced these minors, and they haven't all gone on to do it at senior level. But I mean, Richie Cummins from Gort, just down the road from us. I mean, we would have. I remember seeing Richie we played him in under 16 challenge, and you're trying to figure out who is this guy, because he was just class, and he was a brilliant player. Carol Wade, I think it was corner forward, guy from Sarsfields, and I remember again played corner forward, I think, beside Canning, whatever. And again, you're wondering, would this guy crop up at senior level? Evan Nyland in 15 was excellent. Jack Canning obviously in 17. Will he make the step up? Don Lochet last year, I think was elected Ireland minor player of the year. Shane Maloney in I think played for 3 years, maybe 9, 10, 11. Again, looked like a guy that was destined for great things at senior level. So. I mean, Gerard, like this is some list of players, and as not all of them went on to become household names. I mean, one guy we didn't talk about is Joe Dean. Again, who maybe like Kelly, just had that underage pedigree. Even at colleges level. I mean, he won a Harty Cup medal with Middleton in '95. Was part of an unbelievable Middleton team. I think Don Logue was on it. I think Tim Sullivan might have been on it. Mickey O'Connor. And Joe again was one of those guys that just made the transition. I think Jimmy Barry brought him straight, from minor and into the senior setup. And I mean, he was 5'7", Joe or Ger, but like what a player. And again, a guy who obviously merits consideration given the senior career that he went on to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And then one last one, Fraggy Murphy, 3-6 in an All-Ireland semi-final. He scored for Cork in 2001 against Kilkenny. That's not bad.
It's not bad, and it would have been interesting to see what the Kilkenny full backline was on that particular day. But I mean, I think Satanta could have been on the scene around that time as well. Yeah, listen, like Fraggy obviously was on that in that Cork setup. I mean, with a lot of those guys that went on to, to that Cork team of the last decade. But I mean, 3-6 in that Ireland semi-final. I mean, it's exceptional, and again, he's a guy another guy that deserves merit given what he did. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, Jamesie, good to have you with us this morning. Thanks a million, man.
Cheers, lads. Take care.
Jamesie O'Connor giving us his thoughts on the Electric Ireland Jubilee team, which is the best 15 hurlers over the last 25 years for hurling. We'll do this for football next year. A reminder, next Thursday we're going to be previewing Galway against Cork in the Electric Ireland All-Ireland football final, and we'll give you details on the championship haircut and where you can get it done on All-Ireland final day on OTB AM next Thursday morning.